Hello there, Pixel Pushers. It's Sadiq Hussain here from the Pixel Pushers YouTube channel, and of course this weekend, Sunday night, early Monday morning, has been the night of the blood moon. If you've been lucky enough to be able to see it and photograph it, weather permitting, of course, you should have some good photographs similar to this. But if you haven't been able to, as we haven't here in the UK, with the weather last night being particularly cloudy and wet and certainly not suitable to, we couldn't even see the moon, although it cleared up partially today. That was too late. So if you haven't been able to do that, to see the moon, then let's turn to Affinity Photos so we can at least take a photograph of the moon at some other stage, or if you've got a stock photograph of the moon, how can we make it look like the blood moon? Okay, so this obviously is a great opportunity to use some of the tools and some of the techniques and practice how we can put a shape over the moon, and also giving it a colour to making it blend in with the blend modes and so on. So let's jump right in. This is what we want to end up as, or something similar to that. And in fact, I've seen some of the photographs, and the blood moon colours are actually more orange and more vivid and more fiery than this. So I think we can afford to go a little bit further than what I've done here, which is a little bit more of a washed out orangey colour. Okay, so what elements do we have here? Let's just disable the text first, because of course that's just for the purposes of the thumbnail for the YouTube video. So my original photograph is in fact that. So that's one of my photographs that I took some time ago of the moon, and it's not a full moon. There's a little bit of a crescent there, but it's virtually a full moon, but quite a clear sharpened shot of the moon on a clear dark black background. So to add to that, it's simply putting a shape with the appropriate color, and then in my case I've put a gradient on it, and then you can fine tune it with a mask, or fine tune it the edges with the eraser brush. Getting the actual circular shape right is the critical part. So let's just start from scratch there then. Okay, so I'm going to just delete these so we can start from the beginning. So that's our starting point. In this particular photograph, the moon is right in the top right hand corner, so it's a little bit difficult to get a shape on top of it. But essentially what we do is go down to the shape tool here, and we click on the ellipse, so it's the circular option is what we want. And if you hold down the shift key, you can draw an eclipse, sorry, a circle. I would draw it, drag it and make it a bit bigger than the moon initially, and then just move it and just place it on top of there. We can reduce the size of it in a moment. Now to make it so you can see underneath, just make that layer semi-transparent. Don't worry about the color and the gradient or anything at the moment, and we just want to reduce the size of that. Okay, so keep the shift key pressed so you don't distort the ratio, and just position that as near as damn it on that circle of the moon. And of course you can push and pull it a little bit if you wish, so we can just push and pull that so that we don't see any of the white of the moon behind it. And of course that does mean what we might get is here, if you look here, there's an element of that circle. The moon isn't quite spherical in this shot too, so we'll have to use the eraser tool on that. Okay, that's not a problem. Now the color of it, I've actually put a gradient on it, but of course you've drawn the shape, and that's a new layer now. And then if you go to the fill, we don't want a stroke, we don't want an edge to it, so that's perfectly okay. But if we go to fill, typically it would be a color. So obviously you could choose a color to see which one suits it best. It is a fiery red, sort of a yellowy fiery red, and we can adjust the color that we want for the red that we want. Okay. But in fact it works better if we have a gradient. So if we click on gradient, I've already got that particular gradient, so it goes from red down to black. You could do it red down to white or to yellow, maybe even. If you wanted to try that, let's just try that it goes down to a yellow. And don't worry about the end result so much. It's about the technique mainly. And if we so I think I'm happy with that. But what I want that to be is just look at I've put too many nodes there, so let me just take those nodes. I meant to just put one there. So you can choose how much of the yellow you want. Now the yellow's on this side and I don't want it there, I want it down here. So I'm going to move that I'm going to turn it around in a second. Okay, so if we click on the move tool and we can swivel that round. So the yellow is down there, which is where I want it. And then of course we could just stretch that out. Okay. I think we're almost there. Okay. So we've now got it going from orange or reddish colour down to yellow. Now we can fine tune those. Just click on the shape tool again. Click on the fill, and maybe you do want to fine tune it. And I think that orange colour, I want that to be more of a deep colour. Okay. Now I have changed the opacity. I can change the opacity, of course. At the moment it's at 99, it's at 69. So obviously that's a full opacity. You don't want it to be full opacity. Just bring it down and then change the blend mode. Normal blend mode won't look so good. So what we want to do is to just see what really lends itself. So possibly hard light. Yeah, I think hard light works well. Vivid light doesn't. Yeah, hard light. So we'll go for hard light. Now, but you can see that part of the moon, let's just disable that. See, because it's not a full moon, we need to erase part of that out. Okay, so, but I want to keep some of that yellow. So if I move this to there, that'll help where the yellow appears. And now I can use the eraser brush and make sure that the appropriate layer is selected. And if I use the eraser brush, I should be able to erase out the pixels that I don't want. So just choose the appropriate brush. A nice soft brush would be useful. Okay, so actually having a mask on it might be better. So if we we created a mask there, and if instead of erasing with the eraser, remember to do the black blocks white reveals. So we got, if we paint on the mask in a particular, either white or black. So let's just go to black. So we can then choose to block out that part of the gradient. We can just erase that out. Oh, I've got the opacity. Let's turn the opacity up. Let's actually turn it up, right up. So that means as we just one stroke, it will remove, and then as we get near to the edge, we can change it to it being a reduced opacity, so it actually looks better that way. Okay, so just change the opacity to there, down, and also I'm going to create a more feathered edge. Okay, so I'm going to change the size of it. And then I've changed the opacity down of the brush. So it just gives it more of a feathered approach to the edge, so it's not too much of a hard edge. Okay, you don't erase out too much. And of course, by using this technique of using a mask, painting with a black brush or painting with a white brush, the white will put the colours back in. So if I was to get to white, or in fact if I went to a grey, it would partly put the colours back in. So if I zoom right in there and reduce the size of a brush, I might want to put that back in. Okay, that actually doesn't look right, so let's just take that out, and let's just paint it with white on the mask. So we're putting the original colour back in. So you can experiment, obviously, to see what works. Now the edge of this is critical, so you do want to spend a bit of time getting that right. So if we just zoom back out again, and just before and after. Okay, so you can see that up here, if you keep an eye on that, that look doesn't look quite right. So we could erase out a bit more here. So let's just paint that with black again. And so really what we're doing, we're painting out the effect of the coloured gel layer over the top of it, because the mask is allowing us to do that, this mask here. Okay, so let's just disable that. It's a little bit closer, a little bit better, but maybe just erase it a bit more over here. So this is obviously your opportunity to get that exactly the way you want, but with the colour being on a separate layer, the shape, the gradient, you can just click on the shape tool again, click on the gradient, and just adjust that as you see fit. Sorry, I need to be on that. You can adjust it as you see fit. You might say, well, actually that red needs to be stronger. Let's make it stronger, and of course you can do that, say like that. Okay, and there's no reason why you can't tweak that afterwards. It's on a separate layer. It's got its own mask as far as sorting out the edges are concerned, and that's it. I mean, actually looks like an orange, so it's maybe a little bit too. But if you look at some of the photographs, I'll just pull one up of what people have taken. I mean, if you look at that one there, that's really a fiery sun-like image where it's very yellow there and it fades out to almost black in the top. That's the other way around. But that one there, almost a fiery ball. So you will get a whole range of image, and that's quite a washed out image. So it depends on the processing. It depends on how people have interpret it, their photograph. So I'm quite happy with that. And of course, you could put some text or a border or some other additional effect. Even put some stars in if you wanted to. Well, that doesn't always look natural when you're photographing the moon, because the exposure of the stars and the exposure of the moon are two totally poles apart, so to speak. So it's very rarely that you can photograph the moon and the stars at the same time with the same photograph, because the exposure times are all different. So you'd have to be a combined image anyway. So there's no reason why you couldn't take a photograph of just the stars and then put that on as a separate layer if you wanted to do that. So give that a go. And if you like this technique of putting a shape on top of an existing object and then colouring it, changing the blend modes, changing the colour, selecting a colour, putting a gradient in it. Of course, you can apply that technique in all sorts of instances, anything that you want to, give it a go with. So it's the technique that matters, not so much that we're trying to fake the blood moon. We're not trying to pass it off as a fake blood moon, but what we are doing is practicing using Affinity Photo to create an emulation of the blood moon. So please share and like and comment if you found the video useful. Any areas of the tools that we've used or the techniques that I've demonstrated that you need further clarification, or that you've got a better alternative way of doing it, which of course there's bound to be one, then please share it so other viewers can benefit from as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.